Today I'm going to discuss about the PHP Web Services tutorial 5 and its title is how to create and consume a RESTful API using PHP. If you want to see tutorial 4, please go to this YouTube video. I will put this link in the description. Alright, before we start coding, I would like to just briefly talk about this, how REST API is created and consumed. Okay, we need at least 5 steps for this one to create and consume REST API. And these are create data on server. This is done by the service provider. So first of all, we need to have data on the server. This data might be in the database table or maybe hard-coded in a PHP file. We will see both in a minute. Create API on server. This is also done by the service provider. Okay, so these two things will be done by the service provider. Now we have data and API. Next step is to call this API so that we could access this data. So third step is data is accessed through an API call by the client. Client accesses the endpoint URL. So we need a URL to access this API. Using CURL. CURL means a client URL. This service provider might put some restriction that you can only access our API if you have API key. So we will see later on with key and without key, but first of all we will see without key. Finally, consumer performs search to find data on server using CURL. So because we have data, so we will search something on the server and result will be shown to the client. How many files do we need? This is a high level architecture. So we start from here just to explain it to you easily. This is the API communication flow. So we will create client.php file. This is just HTML. Through this HTML, we will send request and it will call the API call.php. Okay, API call.php will forward the request further to the server, third-party server like, and there is API.php. So these two files will communicate with each other. Then API will access data.php. Okay, now these are in the same server. And API will fetch the data, send it back to API call, and then we can see the results. Got it? One more small thing, but quite important. In RESTful, we have these kind of HTTP verbs or methods like get, post, put, delete, options, patch. On the other hand, we have successful status or failure status. These are also important. So if you are using get method, which means retrieves a record from the server, if request was successful and we got response, this server will send 200 code. The number is 200. If it was failure, then we will get 404 or 401. If you are using post verb, then server will send 201. So post actually is used to create a new resource on the server. You insert something in the server database. If it was successful, server will return 201. If it was unsuccessful, server will return any of these. Put, update or replace a record. You want to edit a record on the server side. If it was successful, 200 or 204, unsuccessful 404. You want to delete something on the server. Successful 200, unsuccessful 404, and so on. Now let's go to the form first. This is the form on client side, right? I am searching the price for something like a book. So search price of book is $5. This $5 is coming from the API. Okay. if I say phone price is 100. Okay, so how these things are actually working, let's see one by one. First of all, this is our HTML form. This is our client.php file. Okay, this is our client.php file. I will delete this one in a minute because we don't need this thing. And what do we have here? This is just a body, HTML body and heading. This is the form. In the form, action is API call.php. So we will send this form, the product name, to this API call.php using post method. And this is just a button to submit where we see search. So what's happening in this one? So it means I type that book or phone in this input type text name. Once we submit the form is submitted to API call.php. What's happening there? First of all, we want to make sure. So this is API call.php file. We want to make sure that form was submitted. So using post, we get was it submitted. If true, we will go through this whole code. Now, what was the data submitted from the previous form? Was it a phone or book? So the variable name is the product name and we want to know its price, right? So we get that book or name, book or phone in this name. Now we establish a URL. This is this API URL. Notice what's happening here. Localhost, you need to put the whole thing because in RESTful API we use HTTP protocol, no matter it is local on your PC. So localhost web services slash API.php name equals name. So we assign this book or phone concatenate using dot with this URL. So we have done this now. We have created a URL. As I have shown you earlier in the previous tutorials, this part remains same like we did before. So we start CURL initialization part, pass this URL, which we call CURL client URL. So curl session starts, we create a handle, and then curl set opt client. This handle is going here. Curl opt transfer true, then execute it, pass this client here, and get response. So once it is executed, we get the response. All the result that $5 or $100 actually is coming to this one, this variable. We close the session that we started initialized here. We need to close it. Once we close it, now notice we are doing JSON decode. Why JSON decode? Because that API has sent us JSON data and that was encoded. So we need to decode it here and put it in the result and then access JSON. So then we are showing this price of that book or phone is what? Result data, okay, using the object. So that we receive object from the other side from this website from this web service. So it will show the price. Got the idea? Now this is the receiving part. We are receiving, but we want to see what's happening on the server side, what's happening in the API part. So we will go to API.php. This is API.php. First of all, we will start a header, content type application JSON, so that the browser knows and the server actually also knows that we are handling JSON data. Then we require a file data.php. Here is the price of that book or phone. We will see it in a minute. Okay, this is the data file. So if not empty get name, we are still checking that name was not empty. Notice this time we are using get. Why we are using get? Because this is part of URL. we are sending part of URL. So if it is part of URL, we can use get for that. So get it, and then put that name. It's book or smart or phone, book or phone. Then we say get price. We have this method, a function, and we pass this product name to this, and we get the price. All right. We will see this, what is happening in the get price. And where is this method? This method get price actually is inside data, inside this data.php. Okay. So this method is implemented here. Then if empty price, if we could not find the price, then we create a response. Okay, what is the response? 404. Remember, not found. Okay, the code product not found is the message for the user, and because we did not get anything, we pass it null. But if we get the price, if it was not empty, then we establish with this one 200. Remember, success response 200, which means okay, product found. What's the price? This is the price going on, which we receive from here. Okay, it's going down here. All right. So what's happening in the response? Where is that? This is the response method. We are sending 4 parameters and we are receiving those 4 parameters here. This is data is the price. This is just our message, and we create header status so that the other side browser should know what is the status. It was successful or unsuccessful. Here we pass several things: status, status message, data, and now you remember we are encoding here, and we send all this response array in here. And then once we say echo, actually it will send back to the client. Okay, it's not echoing here, it will send there, where we already saw we received it using CURL and we displayed there. Correct? And this else part is if request was invalid. Now, the last thing is what's happening in the get price. As we mentioned, it's in the data.php. So let's go to the data.php. This is data.php, and here is the method get price. And we pass the product. Here I have hard coded the values first. Later on, we will see how to get these things from the database. So we have array products, phone has 100, laptop 1000, and book is 5. Okay, this is the way you will write. This is, remember, this is a key value pair JSON. All right. So this is our data, and products. This products we run a for loop. Products as product price. If product is same like name, because we are first, let's say I'm searching for book, it will start from phone. First time phone is equal to book, no, go back, fetch the next one. Laptop, book is equal to laptop, no, go back, finally book. So book is equal to book, true, then return price 5, and no need to go further if I have further more few other things. All right, guys. So from here, so let's go back one step at a time. This is our data. From data, this is connected with API. Here is a data file, and we're calling data method and establishing response, encoding JSON, and echoing. Then we call this API using API call. In the API call, we have this URL, and we have this get part receiving data from that API, and we echo it the price, right? Client, we just submitted here. We don't show anything here. We are showing in API call, and we stop it. All right. So this is without database. All right. So next one is with database. Again, I go to the client. there is no change in this one. I want to keep this thing same. But this time I want to search some other thing from database. Okay, what is that other thing? That other thing is I have a table in the database. You need to create this table. Okay, cars, cars table. This car table has four columns: make, model, year, price, and we have this data. Like I put Nissan 2019, Versa, and year, blah blah, price, blah blah. Okay, you can change this data. So let's see the structure of this. So four columns, and make is varchar 255 size, model varchar, year 255 is integer, price is integer, just four columns. So browse back and we see this data again. So now we want to fetch this data. I will give this uh, make name and I want to know what is the price. All right, so how to do that? Here, no change in the client .php. Okay, no change. Because it will call now API call. Is there any change? Yes. We need to change something. I need to close this thing because I don't need the price of book or that one. I need some more information from the database. Now I have these echo price, year, make, model. Okay. So notice I'm adding one more thing. Data is coming from the data is coming from the other side. Okay, and using data we are getting those column names: price, year, make, model. Other things remain same. This part remains same. No change. This time I will send car name here. All right. Now what's happening in the once we call API, do we need to change anything? Yes, we need to change something. I comment this data. I enable another file. It's called, I have created data db.php. So let me open that one, data db.php. Okay. Previously we had data where we had get price and we had hard coded these things. Now what we're going to change is actually we are going to change this part because it's not hard coded. So what's going on? Get price. This is my connection to database, localhost, web services, my database name, root, and no password. I am connecting to database, MySQL I. If connection is successful, if it is unsuccessful, then we see the error. If it is successful, we go down. Select price, make, model, year from cars where make is name. I just put order by limit 1. You don't need to put this thing. Okay, so that we just get one record. Then we say, okay, result, run the query and get the result. Then we say, okay, MySQL I fetch array and result MySQL I associate. You know these things by now. Okay, and we put everything in info and return info. Once we return info, we are getting everything, these four values. Okay, so we go in a reverse order from here. We are in API. This time we have data DB. Nothing changed here. Okay, because we are uh, getting the price from the other side from there, and we put everything here. If okay, and so on. So let's see now here. This time is what is Nissan. So let me copy this and I will put it here. All right, great. See, so we got everything here from the database. All right, thank you very much. Please subscribe our channel and keep watching the next video. I will post many more videos soon. Good luck.